This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Doug Smith. It is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, so it is time for our Monday through Thursday 1 p.m. podcast. We are here every Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock. This is where you will hear the science. We keep these podcasts short. People complain that I talk too fast, but you know what? When you're trying to get all this information into 7, 8, 9 minutes, uh, you got to talk fast. So uh, I'm a very happy camper today. I'm absolutely delighted to report that our second citizens petition was published by the FDA within the past hour. That is a milestone for us, and I'm also very thankful for Alex, without whom that document would not have been published. So thank you, Alex. All right, everybody, we've been talking about these scientific studies that together create the mountain of scientific evidence about what was really going on with the opioids once somebody became opioid dependent. Definition of opioid dependent is when you try to stop, you get sick. So you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And remember, we went all the way back to 1963 and picked up with Gunn. And Gunn showed that after 2 days of opioid withdrawal, the adrenal glands were empty. And then we jumped ahead to 1968 with the Akara Brody study, and with that study, well, the adrenal glands might have been empty of adrenaline, but the bladder was full of the metabolites, the breakdown products, the discarded products, the throwaway of leftover adrenaline. So here in the 1960s, we had a pretty good idea that when somebody went into opioid withdrawal, there was something going on with their adrenal glands, and their body was experiencing adrenaline toxicity. So in 1990, Dell jumped in and said, well, let me take the mice into the operating room. And this time when I put them into withdrawal, I'll have their bellies open, have everything hooked up, and we'll see what's going on. And so what Dell did was he took opioid dependent mice, built a little operating room, opened up their bellies, put them to sleep and opened up their bellies. And then immediately put them into withdrawal using Narcan, naloxone. And what Dell saw was as soon as the little mice went into withdrawal, some of the nerves completely lost control. Included in the list of nerves that completely lost control was a nerve controlling the adrenal glands. The sympathetic nerve is the one that lost control. It surged in activity by 400%. And Dell was smart. He had a catheter in place in the vein, and as soon as he saw the nerve surge in activity, he pulled some blood. And sure enough, simultaneous with this 400% surge in nerve activity of the nerve controlling the adrenal gland, Dell saw a 20-fold surge in epinephrine, adrenaline. Okay, that was in June of 1990, and lo and behold, along comes Chang in September of 1990. Basically, replicates the Dell study, and replication is how science advances itself. But then Chang took it a step further and showed that if you surgically remove the adrenal glands, what's called ablation, surgically ablate the adrenal glands, and then repeat the whole study. Well, lo and behold, if the adrenal gland's not there, there's no surge in adrenaline. So we've now got some fantastic, strong, amazing information about what's going on with opioid withdrawal. And notice that we haven't said anything about a brain disease. Here we're all the way up to 1990. There's no evidence of a brain disease. There's nobody suggesting a brain disease. It isn't even on the horizon. In fact, to even suggest a brain disease, you have to ignore this mountain of scientific evidence. But that's where we were in the 1990s. But then, lo and behold, the psychiatrists they took over the funding for opioid research. So in the United States, the whole thing just hits a dead end. The brakes are just put on, and all the money gets poured into something ridiculous, claiming that opioids cause a surge in brain dopamine, and this surge in brain dopamine takes over the brain, hijacks the brain circuitry, and the people just become zombies, chasing the next high, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Our people weren't chasing a high. Our people were trying to survive, to live, to escape the horror that is autonomic dysfunction, the signature disease of the genotoxicity. So this brings us up to today's scientific study that we're looking at. This is Kienbaum, Dr. Kienbaum from Germany. He was an anesthesiologist, and this is from the German literature of anesthesiology. And what Kienbaum did was stunningly similar to what Dell did, minus the surgery on the abdomen. He didn't open up the subjects, but he got I believe it was 11 volunteers from the local methadone clinic, and said, hey, come on down. I'll pay some money, but I need you to volunteer for this, and we'll put you to sleep. And while you're asleep, we're going to put you in opioid withdrawal and see what happens with your adrenaline levels. And so he got 11 volunteers. He brought them into the clinic, put them to sleep. And once they were asleep, these are all from the methadone clinic. These are all opioid dependent individuals. These are all individuals that when they get sick, when they stop opioids, they get sick, or when you reverse the opioid with Narcan, they get sick. And so Keimbaum didn't want to wait, 3 days for him to get sick. He just gave him some Narcan, immediately put him in withdrawal. And lo and behold, all you got to do is look at the title of this study: profound increase in epinephrine concentration. That's all you got to know. Profound increase in epinephrine concentration. That's all you need to know. 1998, profound increase in epinephrine concentration. Okay, Keimbaum took some opioid-dependent volunteers, gave them some Narcan, and saw a profound increase in epinephrine concentration. Okay, whereas Dell had seen a 20-fold surge in epinephrine concentration in the mice, Keimbaum is now seeing a 30-fold epinephrine surge in the humans, but humans have bigger adrenal glands, so I look at that as the same. But now look what we've done. Okay, we saw in the animal model that when you give opioid-dependent mice Narcan and put them into withdrawal, they get a surge of adrenaline. And it was replicated. That was in the animal model, and it was replicated. We saw it in Dell, and we replicated it with Chang. Now look what we've done. We've jumped over to a human model to ask the question, hey, do we see the same thing in humans? And the answer is yes. We see the same thing in humans. When humans go into opioid withdrawal, we see this massive surge in epinephrine, which is enough to kill you. Okay, it's enough to kill you. And again, there's nothing going on in the scientific literature about a brain disease. There's nothing going on in the scientific literature about this being something going on in the brain. The brain's not even mentioned here. Okay, if you're going to talk about the brain, the first thing you have to do is ignore this mountain of scientific evidence that extends over decades and is seen in animal models and replicated in animal models and is even seen in human models. Okay, so this is rock solid science, people. This is rock solid science. And if you're going to believe in something called the dopamine theory of addiction for opioids, you have to ignore all this. Is there any scientific evidence to support this dopamine theory of addiction? No, it was lambasted. It was proven false. Not only is there no scientific evidence, the studies that were done proved it false. So what the psychiatrists are pushing is nothing short of a lie. They are lying. They're lying. The whole thing is a farce. It's a fairy tale. You don't believe me? Look at the scientific evidence. In particular, look at the scientific evidence that you have to ignore. All right, I'm a little long today. We'll hold here. Tomorrow, we're going to look at a scientific study of how exactly does epinephrine and norepinephrine and dopamine, how exactly do the catecholamines, how exactly do the adrenalines kill you? And we will look at that tomorrow. My name is Dr. Doug Smith. Please like and subscribe to us. And post this podcast on your social media and post it on everybody else's social media. And we will see you guys tomorrow.